Hi everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update for commodities. We're going to work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow, just like we normally do. If you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. You can sign up with a 50% discount on the monthly membership using the coupon code September. And I'm going to give you my financial opinions as we go through all this. Let's dive in and see what's going on today. So the dollar still showing resilience, and that resilience I think is coming from yields. So we had a little bit larger selling pressure day yesterday, that big red candlestick. We have a little bit of a bounce today. Are we going to get any sort of meaningful drop towards the DXY? Now, I'm going to make a statement here. The DXY can kind of, to some degree, tell us where we are in the cycle. Usually what happens is when rates are going up, usually that is an inflationary type period. When they start to reverse and turn lower, that's when perhaps yields pause or go down, generally speaking. So we've seen the dollar really increase from 2020 with a large increase in rates. We had this move lower. They released jam the system filled with SPR barrels with a lagged effect. And right now, I think that we could potentially still go higher in the dollar and in yields from inflation coming back into the system. Inflation from we'll call it money rotating into oil and other things. The 2-year yield still looks pretty resilient here. It still looks good to go higher. I don't see a ton of selling pressure. There's a little selling pressure. I mean, some here and here, but we are still above the trend line, and this thing is still trending higher. We also see resiliency in oil. Oil broke out today, so oil's looking pretty good. And yields in oil have a pretty strong correlation. The 10-year, it's just hanging out, still in an uptrend for sure. And from a longer term perspective, we've broken the big long-term declining trend line, and we've just been walking our way higher with yields. The 30-year has been doing the same thing. It's been walking its way higher with yields. And we just kind of, hanging out here this past couple of weeks in the 30-year yield. Comparing the two, the 30-year and the 10-year, we are still at a very low level. What that means is we are still inverted and we're still hanging out here with the curve massively inverted, is what that is telling us. And it hasn't moved anywhere. I've told you guys before, we can hang out here for a good while. And right now, that's what we're doing, is we're hanging out at a very low level. And that low level is allowing oil to express itself to the upside. And as it expresses itself to the upside, this is probably going to stay inverted. When the inversion is done, when the housing market rolls over, when the housing starts basically are finished, you're going to see the Fed funds rate go sideways. You're going to see this yield curve start to turn back up. And that is when precious metals turn on the boost. So energy is still getting its freedom out, we'll call it. It's expressing itself. And when that expression is done, we should see the yield curve uninvert and precious metals start to take off. TLT bond prices up a little bit, up 0.6%, and we're right at that support level. The support level where we've traded a whole bunch in history. There's a lot of support over here, and I have a feeling we're going to get support right where it's at. Gold down a little bit, but still not out for the count. We are sitting on top of a lot of support. There's your support. It's primed. It's ready to go. And we're sitting on top of this, waiting for the right market condition. We're waiting for yields to uninvert and to come back down. That's my opinion of what we're doing. So it's letting oil have its fun in the sun, and that's probably going to last for a while. and then gold's gonna hit it right after oil, I think. Silver also waiting. It's also squeezing up. You can see the lows stepping up. You can see the highs coming back down into this corner here. So that still looks pretty good. And we are squeezing up in silver still. There is the possibility that this comes back and does another move lower. It's possible. It's not out of the realm, depending on how long it takes and how freaked out maybe people can get. But it still looks good. It's still squeezing up, and it's in the corner. And I still like silver very much. Platinum heading a little bit higher today. We've got a little bit of support where we're at. You can see if you look across, we have traded in these sections before. So there is some support underneath us. We were up today, and it is still looking just as good as all the rest of the precious metals. XEU to gold ratio, we're on support. That support line is tagging the bottom of these guys, and we're right in that general support area. Doesn't look bad, doesn't look great yet. We're waiting for this to break out of that big downtrend line. I call that the downtrend line for gold and silver miners' happiness. We will be happy if you're in gold and silver mining companies at that time. Why hasn't it broken out? The market conditions are not primed for this yet. There is an overlap. It's going to be very difficult to time perfectly, but I do think that the physical metals are a good spot to accumulate. And perhaps some of these gold and silver mining companies, they do exhibit squeezing up of the patterns. Some of these silver juniors and silver companies. So I think they're aligning for a move very soon. I just can't tell you the exact precise moment of when that will happen. We'll see it when it goes. Looking at commodity, the index, still moving on higher. Oil's looking good. Nat gas was looking good. Those are still very strong. So the commodity index still looking absolutely fantastic for what could be wave 3 in a very big move to the upside. Looking at the CRB to S&P 500, we're still making progress here, and it looks like to me that we could see further outperformance of commodities over stocks. Exactly what we want to see if you're a commodity investor and invested in commodities. We want to be able to buy more shares of our favorite companies in the future. With the increasing interest rates and how they are looking at the moment and looking at oil, I think rates could continue to increase, and I think that the stock market is going to be running against a headwind, and commodities are going to be floating down the river with a strong current behind them. So GDX, gold, sideways today. GDXJ, sideways. And SILJ, also sideways. So everything kind of moving sideways here in a lot of these. We're at pretty low locations based off of history. So if you were to take a longer term approach and look at this, and this very well could pull back to support. I mean, it's possible here. And I think that's going to be a really good entry point for someone looking here over the next year or so, however long it takes. Crude oil up 1.83%. We are breaking out of this consolidation. So if you look at the short term, here's your consolidation. Just to show you guys, there's your consolidation upward. You have a clear break to the upside. Pretty awesome with crude oil breaking to the upside. Now, it is possible that we do a little return move in the very short term. We could pull back some. We could come back to the lower 88s, 88 flat, somewhere in that region, if it decides to. We could pull back, get a little retest going on, and then just rip it to the upside. Either way, it doesn't have to do that full retest, and we're already in the process of moving on up. So it looks really good. Again, I think that this is wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3 that is coming. Remember, they dumped all the SPR barrels here to try to control this inflationary move. And what's going to happen is they're done. They've shot their load, guys. It's done. And now Saudi Arabia, OPEC, and all those guys, they're tightening the market. They're soaking up all the inventory in the world, and this is going to push prices higher. They're doing that not to manipulate the price, but to basically get the price high enough to ensure that the oil markets are at least stable for many years to come. You can't have prices down below the cost curves down here and have oil turn on from our high cost producers. So I think they're trying to stabilize the market. Nat gas ripping it today, 5.21%. Let's hope we can keep moving. It's above support. That white line's the support level, and everything's good. If it wants to roll higher, it can do so. XOP, yeah, you know me, ripping it today. I know we had that big selling pressure day up against support. I said, check out oil. If oil breaks here, I think we're going to go higher. Well, it broke higher. We've gone higher, and we are above the neckline of the inverted head and shoulders to move on up. It looks fantastic. OIH also ripping higher, up 2.44%. We're getting close to that resistance line. Now, some people are going to say it's going to hit resistance and come on back. It's possible. But I can tell you this, guys, we've been tapping this thing. Bang, 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 bang. Dude, we're hitting the crap out of this top trend line. Don't be surprised if this thing rips to the upside with a ferocious manner. Ferocious means it can cover a lot of distance in a short period of time. That is what's possible. I'm in this stuff. I'm riding it higher. If we hit it, if we come on back and loop back again, be patient enough. It's going to rip through and break through this trend line at some point, and it will rip past it. The containment will cease to contain, and the cheetah will be released to the wild. Sprout Physical Uranium Trust, up 2.14%. Nice, strong finish. It looks very good. And again, I don't see too much selling pressure anywhere around here. I still think we could very well move on higher. URA, still looking good. Not much selling pressure over at this. I think it's still good to go higher if the buyers want to push it. URNM, same thing. And URNJ, same thing, just a little bit more volatility with that one. I do like myself a little bit of URNJ. I like the juniors, boys. I like the juniors. Looking at TAN. TAN finally getting the bullish engulfing. That looks like it wants to go higher. It's probably done pulling back. I would be looking for a potential turn to the upside for my boy TAN. Well, not really my boy, but maybe someone else's boy. COPX. Oh, man, this thing just keeps going sideways in the channel. Still going sideways. Lithium, we're still in that channel. Keep in mind, this could break at any point. It's looking good. And we're just waiting for that this guy to basically break out of this pattern. We're still in it. It looks good right where it's at. We might have one little last pullback, maybe back to this guy here. And you might get one last good entry point there. REMX down a little bit, still just going sideways. I think it looks... This is highly correlated to the same time that precious metals. Precious metals, let me overlay gold on this bad boy. Precious metals go up, it's lagged just behind it a little bit. And I think we need precious metals to basically rip, and REMX will be a little bit lagged behind it. That's my guess. So I think it's just waiting for the right market conditions, and we're not there yet. SPX down a little bit. Again, this thing's just got a lot of little guys. It's not much big selling pressure. We come into this, basically this flag pattern. We could come back down here, but we got to see how this thing falls. It's not really, it's like a controlled movement lower. It's not a big old burst of energy to the downside. So this very well could go up. We might have a little bit more downside in the short term before heading higher. NASDAQ's the same thing. Our burst of energy was here, but it still floated higher. So again, I don't see a ton of selling pressure. It's these like one-off days over here, but those do add up. And we very well could, if the selling pressure ignites something, whatever it is, could get ignited here, and we could see a further downward move. Emerging markets, right at support. Again, this thing's just waiting for the dollar and yields to slow down. Then we'll work our way higher. But at this time, dollar and yields are remaining resilient. XHB, looks like we're coming down a little bit. I think that we've got further downside to fall here. If yields continue higher, we're starting to see a lot of selling pressure. That guy there, these guys here, this guy here, and we've got basically this upward move, which is broken to the downside. So if it doesn't get saved by tomorrow, I think we are going to head lower for the home builders ETF. Moo hanging in there right at support, still looks good. This does look like we could bounce off that support line for a move to the upside. Copper hanging in there, it's still squeezing. A little bloody nose today. I do think this is going to work its way higher. Still looks good. That's a bullish engulfing basically with a bloody nose. Iron ore still hanging on. I think we are going to head higher to a land far, far, far away. Still looks good. Why do I keep saying this? We have a falling wedge. We basically fell only to this point here, broke out of the pattern or the trend line, and this is going to work and bubble itself higher. Nickel, again, I don't know which direction this thing's going here. To me, it looks like there's still some selling pressure. I don't see the green army in it yet. I would be patient here with nickel. Aluminum down a little bit, but we're right on support. I still think it looks good because we're on support. Support is still holding. Baltic Dry Index. I would like to see this thing rip it, and I think it will. We've got the falling wedge. Its chance to break down was here. It's a false breakout. It shot higher. Now it's just relaxing before another move to the upside. So I think it looks good. Newcastle coal, again, I like where it's at. I think big picture view, it looks really good. To be looking right where it's at. It's going to base out first and then work its way on up. It's probably going to follow nat gas higher and oil. Energy sector is going up. Coal is just going to lag behind it a little bit. Bitcoin looking like it's finding itself a little bit of buyers today. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Is it enough to turn this downtrend line to reverse it? I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to claim that yet. We got to see the buyers step in here. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website with that 50% discount code September. And that's what I'm seeing. Energy markets remain to be the place to be staring at. I think they look absolutely excellent. Right behind this, we're going to see gold, silver, platinum take off. That's the next spot that I think will take off. Historically, it's going to take off when yield curves uninvert. So that's the next sequence of events. Energy's still prime here. So we're going higher in energy. I would be keeping an eye on gold, silver, platinum. They're going to be the next ones in line. They could start, and remember, they can overlap energy as well. They can both go up together. So it's difficult to time that perfectly. Everything's in alignment for silver to break to the upside. Gold's already sitting on top of its pattern. Platinum's going to follow suit. So we're just waiting for that to occur. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.